big breaking news, the headline that was made early last night when Modi and Biden met for a big bang bilateral, by far the most crucial bilateral ahead of the G20 between the Indian Prime Minister and the US President, where they spoke extensively about defense, space and trade. Both leaders welcomed the completion of paperwork towards a 29th August 2023 commencement of negotiations for a commercial agreement between India and the United States for GE fighter engines for India's LCA Mark II fighter jets. Very, very big defense deal that has been signed. Both sides, Modi and Biden's contingents, also welcomed a congressional notification and a letter of request to support India's acquisition of 31 MQ-9 Reaper, Sky Guardian and Sea Guardian armed drones from the United States. A lot of transfer of technology, a great deal of emphasis on space, culture, trade and economy. The Prime Minister hailed the strengthening of India-US ties with talks emerging on tech and investment. Biden also specifically congratulated India on the recent success of the Chandrayaan-3 mission to the moon. Let's go straight across to our reporters now. We're starting early because India starts strong on G20 Day. Our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan is live with us, as is Poulomi Saha, who's at the venue. Geeta Mohan has been bringing us all of the big voices. She was the one to score the first interview of a country leader at the G20 yesterday as well, and will be undoubtedly doing that today as well. Geeta, the big bang bilateral yesterday between Modi and Biden, the implications still filtering in, big long joint statement, extremely crucial, clearly defense and trade, a very specific focus of that entire bilateral. What would you summarize for us, Geeta, what the big takeaways were?
Well, absolutely, Shiv. A very good morning right outside the Bharat Mandapam, where the G20 summit is going to kick off in some time from now. We'll see the heads of state, heads of government, and a few foreign ministers representing their country, like Sergei Lavrov and the Spanish minister, would be turning up over here. But let's talk about the big bilateral between President Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A lot when it comes to conversations. There was a lot on the agenda. But it was a stock-taking meeting after the state visit of Prime Minister Modi and the fact that the Congress cleared the GE414 jet engine deal. So the conversation on that front moved forward. There was a lot of conversation, given that there is a resurgence, an uptick in the kind of an upsurge in the kind of COVID-19 cases that we're seeing. There was a conversation on health cooperation between the two countries. Very importantly, Shiv, Prime Minister Modi has invited Biden for the Quad Summit in 2024. Now, there's a lot of speculation if the 26th January Republic Day chief guests would be Quad leaders. But given that Australia's National Day falls on the same day, we'll have to wait and see whether if Australia accepts. If not, India anyway is to host the next Quad Summit in 2024. Date's not decided yet, so that invitation has been extended. Massive conversations on defense, on inclusivity, on how to move forward on various sectors. So, and of course, digital transformation and technology transfer. Very important aspects when it comes to India and the United States of America. Also shows the trust building and how the two countries are not just strategic partners but strategic trusted partners. And that really came out in the conversations that the two leaders had last night. Also, as a special gesture, Biden had dinner with Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi hosted him at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. That's the Prime Minister's official residence, Shiv.
And, apart from the amazing substance of that meeting, the body language, the camaraderie, the bonhomie between, Modi and Biden was also excellent. The hand across the shoulder, the very warm handshake, all of those things are also really important. And you will see Geeta and all of us decoding those bits as well. Because remember, when leaders meet warmly like this, that warmth, that friendliness trickles down to their contingents, to their teams, and that reflects in the policies, the joint statements, and what the two countries decide to do when they work together. So it's very, very important. If there's any frostiness or coldness, that will reflect in relations. But if they're warm like they were yesterday, it's going to be reflected in how India and the United States take forward that relationship. Before I go to Polabi, who's also standing by with us at the Bharat Mandapam, watch this report that distills for us what the Modi-Biden relationship looked like in the shadow of what happened last night.
Stepping down for his first visit to India as US President, India rolls out the red carpet for President Biden. The host and the guest, representing two of the world's greatest democracies and economies, get down to business right away. At Prime Minister Narendra Modi's residence, President Joe Biden held their second bilateral in 3 months. This meeting at New Delhi's 7-Lok Kalyan Marg lasted almost an hour. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, Secretary of State Antony Blinken and NSA Jack Sullivan present from the American side. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and NSA Ajit Doval from the Indian. A meeting promising substantive progress in what it acknowledged as the groundbreaking achievements of Prime Minister Modi's historic visit to Washington in June.
Let me begin with the bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden. He has invited President Biden for the Quad Summit in 2024. Now, there is a lot of rumor or speculation regarding the Republic Day chief guests, and they could very well be the Quad leaders. So an invitation has been extended to President Biden. We'll have to see what happens with the Japanese Premier and the Australian Prime Minister.
The leaders welcomed commencement of negotiations for a commercial agreement between GE Aerospace and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to manufacture jet engines in India. According to a joint statement, Prime Minister Modi and President Biden also reaffirmed their support for building resilient global semiconductor supply chains. The two sides noted US-based semiconductor company Microchip Technologies' $300 million investment plan to expand its operations in India, and similar moves from industry players Micron, Applied Materials and Lam Research. A first step towards deepening public-private cooperation between vendors and operators, a vision of secure and trusted telecommunications. Prime Minister Modi and President Biden welcomed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Bharat's 6G alliance, India's mission to drive collaboration in next-gen wireless technology, and America's Next-G alliance. They welcomed efforts to build open, accessible, secure and resilient ecosystems and value chains, especially in areas of critical and emerging technology.
When Prime Minister Modi went to the US, to Washington, D.C. in June, that so much space could be covered, and particularly in the area of technology, the emerging technologies, critical technologies, etc. And we have seen how in the past, GE 414 engines, we have semiconductor chips.
India and the United States reviewed with satisfaction intensified consultations to expand their collaboration in nuclear energy. Talks also held on enhancing India's capabilities in state-of-the-art drone technology. President Biden reaffirmed his support for a reformed UN Security Council with India as a permanent member. He welcomed India's candidature for the UNSC non-permanent seat in 2028 and 29. A boost to India's standing in global technology, geopolitics and economy in the midst of a changing global landscape. With Geeta Mohan, Bureau Report, India Today.